Hi, my name is Jesse, and I want to share with you my experience with gutting the Seba CJ, or in my case, the Seba SX boot, and putting in an intuition liner. This is an extremely common mod, and I just wanted to share my experience. I mean, some of the things that I discovered that I wish I'd known before I started this project. Before we get into it, let's talk about why. Why would you want to gut a pair of boots like this? A nice set of carbon boots. Typically they come with integrated liners, and it is a classic mod to improve the comfort and the performance of carbon boots. Carbon boots typically have built-in liners, and this one was no exception. Around the time I had bought these boots, the Wizard boot, the official FR made Wizard boot, like $800 US, it had just come out. I really wanted a set of them, but I could not justify the cost. And instead, I bought this Seba SX from eBay for about 250 bucks, which included, the boot, as well as, two sets of frames, the default Seba aggressive frame, as well as a 4x80 flat frame, and the sole plate. So I thought it was a great deal. I picked them up and I skated them for about a month just to get used to them before I got into the real reason why I had bought them, which was to gut them and put my intuition liner in them. It's a classic mod. It's the thing that you see in a ton of the Wizard skating videos, especially the earlier ones, Mushroom Blading, all those guys. They skate, which is essentially a Seba SX or CJ gutted and with an intuition liner in it. So I thought, hey, I will take it upon myself to be a part of the culture and do this mod that is extremely common and well regarded. It's why I bought these boots in the first place, and hey, let's get into it. Before we talk about exactly what I did, I want to talk a little bit about sizing. I used the chart on the Wizard website for boot liner compatibility. I got the size 42. I have a Mondo 268. The chart says I could have downsized to a size 41 in the carbon. I got a size 42 because it's what was available and what was on sale on eBay. And also it's the same size as the plastic boot if I ever wanted to switch over. I cannot imagine skating another size down in this personally after gutting it and putting this liner in, and I'm glad I went with the 42. So, how did I gut these? What was the process I went through? I did a bunch of research online on what the proper thing was to do. I referenced a couple of Reddit threads. I looked at a bunch of videos, and I eventually decided to go with the This Is Soul tutorial on YouTube. It is comprehensive, it's complete, and most importantly, it's by people who have done this a lot. The This Is Soul skate shop is based out of, I want to say Amsterdam, and they offer a carbon boot gutting service. So it's something that they do a lot. If anyone was going to be experts, it would be them, as opposed to people who have only ever done it once for one project, like me. I'd highly recommend the This Is Soul tutorial if you do decide to go through with this project. For tools, I just used a freaking wrench and box knife. I would recommend getting better tools. This worked, but it was kind of hacky and a little bit annoying. Proper pen razor and a pair of pliers would do you much better than what I did, but I got it done. I also, when I was gutting them, sliced through my boot right here. It is way easier to slice through your boot than you think it is, and yeah, watch out for it. They say it a lot in every tutorial. It's super easy to slice through your boot. It's easier than you think. Even with all the warnings, it is so easy to just put a knife straight through the material if you're not careful. So I gutted it, I put it back together, and I went for my first ride. And a few things were immediately apparent. Number one, the frame bolts that are the default frame bolts were far too long. They were digging up into my feet. I could feel it in my heel. I could feel it in the ball of my foot. Whatever it was, now that I'd taken out all of the extra padding in the boot, they were too long and I could feel them acutely. They were there. You could really feel them. I ended up getting the Kaiser super bolts to replace the built-in frame hardware, and these are great. I was thinking about getting these anyway because I've had trouble with stock frame bolts previously and I hate dealing with it, so I was going to get these at some point anyway. This just pushed it up because it was necessary to make these skates fit right. I also realized I'd need to take out way more foam. I was getting a lot of hot spots and a lot of pain. And I realized that I could probably rip out way more foam than the tutorials said I could. The This Is Soil tutorial sort of recommends that you stop ripping out foam around like this level, leave like the top portion just as a bit of padding to like keep some of the integrity of the boot. I went back and I ripped out all of the foam all the way to the top, which is more than they recommend, but what I had to do to sort of reduce the amount of pressure I was feeling on my ankles. I remember getting back from that first session in these boots and thinking, did I just ruin my skates? Like, this is so much more painful than it was before. I'd kind of expected for the experience to be pretty smooth and for it to work a lot better than it ended up working. And I was really disappointed after my first couple sessions. For the first week, all I did was tweak these skates. I tried every single different like heel pad, like footbed. I remember I tried every single set of insoles I had in these to see if any of them would be better. I, replaced the bolts. I also ended up around that time replacing the laces because the original ones had disintegrated. I put on this 45-degree strap, ratchet strap from Power Slide that was on an old set of my boots. I replaced the cuff with the one from the UFR, the Anthony Poitier UFR, because they use the same cuff. So I just put that one on because it was nearer than the one it came with. And I got them into a much more workable state, but I had to work at it. I had to tweak. I had to rip out so much more foam, and it was a hassle. It was a pain, but I sort of considered it as part of the price. It's an ongoing project. It's a DIY mod, and tweaking it was kind of fun and just part of the process. It's been, I would say, over a month now that I've been skating these regularly, tweaking them, and they're pretty much in a good spot now. I kind of felt like they needed to break in all over again, despite the fact that I've used this exact liner for like over a year now, and the boots were broken previously. The boot and liner combo needed some time to get itself massaged into place. One of the things that I think helps that is sort of like the hot car heat mold. It's been summer and my car heats up a lot, and I kind of just leave my skates in my car, which kind of worked out because the hot car would leave the foam nice and squishy. So when I go skate, it would naturally heat mold to my feet. Not that I needed it because I've had these liners for a while, but I think it helped. Another thing that's happened is this liner has glued itself to the inside of my boot. I think somewhere in the gutting process left exposed glue in the toe of the boot that over time, and especially as I've left the liner in for an extended period of time, and it's been like on and off my feet a lot and heat molding, this liner is now like fused with this boot. It is not coming out. I can't get this out. I probably could if I took all the laces out and really worked at it, but essentially, like functionally, these two things are attached now, which is kind of nice from a performance standpoint. Like, this liner does not slide around at all. Not that it was before, but now it really isn't sliding around. But if I wanted to change this liner out at a later date, I've got a lot of work in front of me, which is unfortunate. After a month skating, this can still be uncomfortable. I can still have hot spots if I lace it up too tight at the top. I now make a pretty strong effort to lace it up pretty tight, like at the forefoot, and lace it a lot looser right at the top. I don't clamp down this like top buckle as tight as I can. I try not to yank the laces too hard at the top because I just develop hot spots even now, even after a month of tweaking it and skating it like a few times a week. It still can give me pain if I'm not careful. That being said, I've come to adjust and realize that if I just don't skate it as tight, it is very tight and responsive. I don't really need to lace it up super tight at the top, but it is a little disappointing that I still experience pain if I lace them up as tight as I can. I guess that's not that surprising, but it's a little disappointing. Overall, I would say that I don't regret this project. These skates feel amazing. They are so fun to skate. They're so responsive. They're so like these are a lot of fun, and they also look sick. Like, part of the reason I did this project, it was because I just really like the look of these skates, like the carbon boot, everything built in, the 4x1. Like, look at this thing. It is beautiful. The intuition liner, like it just, mwah. Like, what a good looking skate. They just look so cool. They do perform better than they did stock. Even if it was kind of a hassle to get there, they perform well. They are comfortable, they look great. I don't regret it. I don't think I would recommend anyone does this project. You'll know if you have a burning desire to do this, and you'll do it yourself anyway. I don't know if I'd recommend someone do it for the sake of, like, if you want the most performative, the most comfortable skate, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't buy new skates to do this. I did this because I had a great deal on a set of skates, and I already had a lot of the tools I would need to do this mod anyway. A lot of the extra parts, things like that. Do I regret doing it? Not at all. Would I do it again? Almost certainly not. I would almost definitely just buy a set of skates that has all that together now. I'm glad that I have the experience, but I'm not going to do this again. Straight up. I'm just not going to do this again. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try and answer them in the comments below. If you had any more tips, leave them in the comments. I'd love to know. And if you want to see more videos like these, consider subscribing.